Hey everybody, it's Angie and welcome to Hot and Flashy. In today's Foundation Friday for over 50s, we are going to be taking a look at CoverGirl Matte Made Foundation. This is a relatively new foundation from CoverGirl. It actually came out over the summer. I received it in a PR package with all 40 shades. It has been laying around all summer because there were other foundations that you guys were clamoring for, but I noticed that we've done a lot of higher end Foundation Fridays over the last 3 or 4 Foundation Fridays, and it was time to get back to a drugstore foundation. So this little guy retails for $8.50 for 1 ounce, so the price point is terrific. It is supposed to be a 12-hour comfort matte finish foundation that is pore minimizing, oil controlling, and transfer resistant. So it would be great if it could do all those things. We are going to put it to a thorough testing today, as well as the 3 other days that I've worn it already. Of course, this is on more mature, less than perfect skin. So my skin has been hanging around my face for 56 years, so it certainly does have wrinkles, age spots, enlarged pores, and all that stuff to test it on. My skin type is combo still, unlike most people in my age group. I still do get a little bit of oil in my T-zone. I am normal for the rest of my face. I tend to be a little dry around the chin area. And that's pretty much what my skin is like. So let's get into it. So the basics on this, it is housed in a nice glass bottle and it has a pump dispenser, which we always like to see. This one is mainly a water and silicone base. It does contain some talc and a couple of waxes. It is SD alcohol free though, so if you have dry skin, it shouldn't bother your dry skin. And I didn't see anything listed on the label as fragrance, and to me it doesn't smell of anything, so I think it's pretty much fragrance free. They don't really have any application recommendations on the website. This is a very basic foundation. It doesn't even say what kind of coverage you're going to get out of it. You know, most foundations these days, they say it's full coverage, it's medium coverage, it's sheer coverage. Who knows with this one? So the color I'm wearing it today is M30. This is out of the medium range. I'm going to show you 3 or 4 different swatches of it, one from light, one from medium, one from tan, and one from deep, just so you can get a sense of the shade range. So let's go back to day 1 and take a look at how I applied it. I didn't wear sunscreen for day 1. You guys know how committed I am to my sunscreen, and I always try foundations with sunscreen, because if it doesn't work with my sunscreen, it doesn't work for me. The package also came with a couple of primers, so I used the CoverGirl Pore Minimizing Primer on one side of my face, and I used no primer on the other side. I used this whopper of a sponge, the Real Techniques Face and Body Sponge, on the primer side to apply it. I don't know what I was thinking with this thing. I saw another YouTuber use it on their face and they really, really liked it. Maybe this wasn't the right foundation to use it with, but it seemed to just soak up all the foundation and not put any on my face. So as you can see here in the footage of me applying it, it's giving very, very, very sheer coverage. On the other side of my face, I used my favorite foundation brush, which is a Morphe brush from this kit of 9 vegan brushes, the 502 brush set. It spreads easily around the face. I used a half pump on each side of my face. I did add another half pump of foundation to the sponge side and went over it with a regular Beauty Blender sponge. So I'm just going to take the rest of that second pump that's on my hand and I'm just going to build it up a little bit right on the fronts of my cheeks and where my age spot is, just to make sure that I have enough coverage on those places. So with the 2 coats, it does even out skin tone a bit. I could still see my age spots on the side of my face and a little bit of redness showing through around my cheeks and chin. So once I had the foundation on there, I checked it out in my up-close mirror and I really loved what I was seeing. I love foundation that doesn't look like foundation sitting on the surface of your skin. It looked really natural, yet it was giving my skin, you know, the little bit of coverage that it needs. I love the finish on it. It was a matte, but not a flat matte. But the best thing that I noticed when looking at my up-close mirror is that it didn't settle into any wrinkles and it didn't settle into my pores. And you know, those are the 2 most important things with a foundation once you're in our age group. And I was pretty much loving it, except that there were these tiny little white grains of talc that had separated out of the formula and were sitting on the surface of my skin. But they're so tiny, I don't feel like anyone else could see them, and they did brush away really, really easily. All right, here is the CoverGirl foundation with the rest of my makeup on. I think right now it looks pretty good. I'm not going to use any setting powder in the T-zone because this is supposed to be oil controlling, so we will see if it is oil controlling. It is super humid today. It is dry and set, so it feels good. I like the finish on it. I think it looks nice. I don't think it's made my pores disappear, but I don't think that they are being accentuated either. This is the primer side, and this is the no primer side, so not sure if there's a difference there. Not sure if the primer's doing much. So at the 5-hour check-in, I felt like it looked overall pretty good, but not like, oh my gosh, amazing. It was starting to show signs of wear on my chin and around my nose, the usual places that just about everything starts to wear off. It was slightly more luminous between my eyebrows, just in that one spot on my face. It hadn't gotten shiny all over, so I feel like it did control oil fairly well, because the last 3 foundations I tried were matte foundations that promised to control oil, and by like 6 hours with most of them, I looked like a shiny mess. So where this one at 5 hours, it was just the slightest bit satiny, was okay with me. I thought that was fine. It hadn't settled into any wrinkles, and it hadn't settled into any pores. And it still looked very skin-like and very, very natural. So at the 9-hour check-in, it was completely worn off with a lot of redness showing on my nose, my chin, my forehead, and my cheeks. I gotta say, it didn't wear off in a horrible way. It didn't slide around. It didn't make me look patchy. It didn't make my skin peel off and feel dry and flaky. It didn't do any of that stuff. It just faded away. I felt like it controlled oil pretty well during the day because it didn't get super shiny. It was comfortable to wear and non-drying all day. It was not in my wrinkles for the entire day, and in spite of the short wear time, I thought this one really had potential to be a really good foundation if I could just get the wear time up. All right, the second day I decided to try it with my favorite sunscreen, the Make Prem UV Defense Me Fluid Sunscreen. I also used my favorite primer on half my face, which was the Hourglass Mineral Veil Primer. I'm really starting to develop like a in-love feeling for this primer. Like, it saved the day, I feel like, on the 3 previous foundations that I wore, and I feel like it really does help to smooth my pores. So I used a sponge for my whole face, but a real sponge, not a giant body sponge, and I set it with my IT Cosmetics Bye Bye Pores HD powder. All right, I've got the CoverGirl Matte Made Foundation on with the rest of my makeup. I am really enjoying the look today. I think it's working great with the products I have on under it and the stuff I have on over it. I used a new concealer from Becca, and I thought that the color I got was going to be too dark because I got it in Latte, but it's really light. But it's their Ultimate Coverage Longwear Concealer, so I want to test that. And I think that the Mineral Veil side of my face looks so much smoother and better than the no Mineral Veil side of my face or the no primer side. So I did try a different primer yesterday. I tried this Revlon pore reducing primer, and that was a hot mess. They just didn't work well together. They didn't sit right together. I really like the finish on this. I really like the coverage on this. It is low medium. You can build it up to medium medium. I wouldn't say you ever get like high medium or full coverage out of it. It looks really good. It doesn't look cakey. It's a matte, but it's not a flat matte. So far I'm really loving it. It sets back, it dries, it doesn't feel like it's sliding around. So I'm giving it 2 thumbs up so far, but it's 11 o'clock, so I'll be back at 4 for the 5-hour check-in. Thought I'd do a little check-in on the Becca Under Eye Concealer. I think this is going back. It is not good. It was patchy and worn off at the inner corner within an hour or 2, and it's all creased under both of my eyes, so not digging it. Right at 5 hours, it hasn't settled into wrinkles, hasn't settled into pores, is still wearing pretty well. Hasn't gotten overly shiny, so I'd say it's pretty good. All right, 10-hour check-in on the CoverGirl Matte Made Foundation. Yeah, 10 hours, it's pretty darn worn off, but I gotta say, it is still matte, it's still set, it hasn't gotten like super shiny in my T-zone, it's not super oily, it's not transferring around, no settling in wrinkles, no settling in pores, so that's all good. Not particularly drying or drying looking. It's just, you know, very worn off at this point. The one thing I didn't try with it is a setting spray. I didn't use setting spray today either. And that's because all the setting sprays that I have, even if they claim to be matte, they're not. They all impart a dewy finish to the foundation. And so I was like, I'm not putting on a setting spray that makes this foundation dewy. All right, but we still have a couple of tests to do. You guys know I always like to do the phone test, the flash test, we do the kitchen lighting, we do the outdoor lighting. So let's do the phone. Oh my gosh, look at all these messages, holy cow. So we will check out the lack of transfer on this one. Clean, smudge-free phone glass. Been playing telephone tag with my brother all week. It was his birthday last Thursday. I texted him Friday, I called him Saturday, I called him again on Sunday. We just cannot connect. But hopefully we are going to talk one of these days soon. So, you know what? It's not bad. Not the best I've seen, not the worst I've seen. All right, let's go ahead and do the flash photography. For that, I have to turn off the lights, so just a sec. All right, how do we feel about this picture? Is it giving flashback? I mean, I don't know if it's just that my face is so close to the flash that it's whiter than my neck, or if that's flashback. All right, let's go into the kitchen to do the kitchen lighting test. Then we'll go outside to do the outdoor light test. Unfortunately, today we are not going to get full sunshine because we are in a cloudy weather pattern. It's been that way for quite a while, and it's gonna stay. So. It's 10 o'clock at night, and I just wanted to come back on to show you how well this is wearing today. It was really hot and really humid on the other days that I wore it. It was like the height of, August weather, because I tested this about a month ago, I guess. And now that it's September and it's not as hot and it's not as humid, this is wearing so much better. So I didn't want to give it an unfair review based just on the weather. So I just think it's really pretty, and I think it's 7 hours. It's not really worn off on my chin. It's not really worn off on my nose. It's not really worn off. It's not getting shiny. All right, you guys, we have come to the critical moment in each Foundation Friday where we rack up the pros and cons. So let us go for it. On the pros side with this one is its really lovely skin-like matte finish. I really love how this one looks on the skin. I love the natural look of it. I like that it's pretty invisible on the surface and doesn't look like makeup. I love it that it doesn't settle into wrinkles and it doesn't settle into pores. It's also comfortable and non-drying, and it dries down and feels set. It doesn't feel like it's sliding around and moving all day. So overall, I gotta say, I really, really like this one. But it did have a few cons. It wasn't perfect. It was slightly difficult to apply in that it doesn't really play well with thicker products, with thicker primers. It wasn't easy to apply with the fingers. It went on okay with a sponge, but super, super sheer. It goes on best with a brush. So it takes a little bit of working with it to figure out the best way to get it on your face. I just really couldn't get it past the 10-hour mark or even to the 10-hour mark. I mean, literally it kind of crashed and burned between, I'd say, 6 and 8 hours, somewhere in there, and was already showing signs of wear. Of course, I was testing this during the most humid days of the summer, as was evidenced by my super frizzy hair. It seems to be staying put better today. It doesn't really stay fully matte all day. It does get a little bit luminous later on in the day. It does transfer a little bit, like under the nails and onto the phone, so it's not completely transfer proof. I really love the look of it, and now that I've gotten it to last longer just because the weather has changed, I am really pretty high on it today. Like, I thought I looked good all day, and I really like this one. So who do I think it would be best for? It could work probably for all skin types. Definitely for people who like a sheer coverage, definitely for people who don't want to, have a mask of makeup on. Maybe for people who are new to makeup. I know there's a lot of people our age who wake up one day and they've never worn makeup and they look in the mirror and they're like, oh, honey, you need help now. That happened to me when I turned 50. I was like, jeepers. And that's when I started this whole thing, and now I'm comfortable with makeup. But then I was so uncomfortable with makeup. And so I feel like this could be a good starter makeup where you don't want to spend a lot and you don't want something that feels uncomfortable and feels heavy and looks like a mask. You still want to look like you, only a little bit better. I'd say this would be a good one for you to try. Now, will it be replacing my Chanel Perfection Lumiere Velvet, which is my Holy Grail foundation? No, it will not. I do like it, but I love the Chanel so much better. But if you could never afford the Chanel, then that would be a good one to try. And another one from the drugstore that's also very good, that's right up there by the Chanel, is the L'Oreal True Match. I love this one. I don't know if it'll break into the top 5 foundations, but it will definitely break into the top 5 drugstore foundations for sure. So if you're a drugstore person, this is a good one to give a try. But the list is over on my blog, HotandFlashy.com. And I just keep this running list of all the foundations that I've ever reviewed from best to worst. So I'll put the link to that in the information box below the video as well. And I also have an entire Foundation Friday playlist with all the YouTube videos. So if you want to find another review on another foundation, check out the playlist. I'll put the link up here, also in the info box below the video. So if you found the video helpful and informative, then give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for your time. You know, I always appreciate your watching, and I hope you have a great day. So I will see you in the next video. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.